3D pop is a spec that can't be measured by science. It can only be felt in the heart chakra. Photographers try to deny its existence, but our Lord shall strike them down, smite them good like they deserve. Today we talk about 3D pop versus the Toneh, Leica versus Zeiss. I'm filming on neither.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
The only thing we will learn today for sure is that I don't know how to expose an image properly. But what you're seeing right now should be side by side with 3D pop versus not 3D pop. We got the Sony A7S III, Zeiss 55mm 1.8 at 2.8, just to be fair. It's not the background blur increase that you're seeing here when analyzing 3D pop. It's something immeasurable. Versus Canon 60 Mark II in 1080 bullshit P with a 16 to 35 zoom lens. So that has no 3D pop whatsoever. This one does, from what I've seen. So you see this. You see how I'm standing out from my forest here. My friends in the background giggling and eating seeds. You know what I mean? Versus a flat image. Just this. I'm two-dimensional. What a loser. Who could date him? Nobody. Even though I'm turning, you can't picture that I have a body. See what I mean? Now, I'm not sure how far back you can get before 3D pop disappears, but that's my favorite thing about full frame, in that you can get so far back and still get a separation effect. Whereas Micro Four Thirds, we must discuss, and I did bring one, Olympus with the Leica. We will compare Leica to Zeiss 3D pop. Dare you dream it? You're dreaming it hard. I did stop down the Zeiss right now. Or stop up. 1.8. I don't know how to expose anything. When it comes to what is 3D pop, it's obviously self-explanatory. You pop out of the scene. You usually see it with most full-frame images. Even my Sony 200 to 600 has it when I look. But usually, it's a Zeiss Prime thing, or a Leica Prime, or any vintage glass, the Voidylanders. Even some of the old Canon L lenses, some Nikon lenses. Like, I got a comment the other day. He said something like, chromatic aberration is part of the 3D pop movement. It helps, whereas like all the modern lenses are correcting for that, therefore giving us flat, boring images, unlike what you're witnessing now. Am I even in the shot? I can't see it. I can't see a damn thing. Now, I'm pretty sure that Canon has no 3D pop. Maybe I get this image back and I'm like, wow, look at you, Canon. Way to go. What Canon can do, was I even in focus for that Canon shot? The odds aren't good. You can get background blur. That's not necessarily something you want, but that's not 3D pop. This is not what we're looking at here. To further explain it, we must switch to a Leica Micro Four Thirds Prime to show you. Now, before we do that, I'm just saying, I do have another test. We have to see for sure. We have a Zeiss Prime now, 25mm 22 on the Sony, Fuji XH2 coming into the battle with the zoom lens, which should not have any 3D pop whatsoever, 8 to 16. So we're at 16, roughly replicated. Are you seeing it? Because I've been watching this whole video, I've seen it. I see the Popinski. It's there. I'm not imagining it. Even though the author of the 3D pop article admitted that he was lying, I believe him when he doesn't believe himself. That's the real truth. That's the real truth. So we're seeing it. 3D pop separation. The Canon was the worst, and how dare you, Sony, for the firmware update of the century, ruining my autofocus. You took perfect autofocus and you threw a cup of coffee on it. That hurts. Or does it? Notice how it's flat. Jazz hands couldn't save the shot. This was Astia versus neutral, by the way. Just backing it off a notch. Sony, fix your greens, would you? Add some blue in it or something. It's yellow puke. It's nature, it's beautiful, and you throw up on it. It's rude. The Sony was stopped down, by the way, to Toneh 4 to replicate the Fuji, showing you that it wasn't the amount of Toneh that is causing the 3D pop. Now we're wide open. Although it does help, I'll admit it. The Toneh helps. The 3D pop, they get along like brothers. Oh, a brotherly love. The autofocus better work. Oh, hi there. I had just wandered off in the forest. What we're witnessing right now is a micro four thirds attempt at a 3D pop separation. We have a Leica 25mm 1.4 versus the 55mm now stopped down to 2.8 to match the Toneh equivalents. Are we starting to see some stuff other than the dynamic range bullshit of the micro four thirds and the swampy green ugliness of the Sony color science agenda? So we're seeing some stuff. Micro four thirds, you could achieve background blur. Don't act like you couldn't. It autofocused pretty good. So this should be somewhat equivalent of a background blur. Wouldn't say I'm exposed properly. White balance identical, 4800 Kelvins. Olympus, you're lying to yourself on that one. So fun times on that. The king of 3D pop is now in our lives. I even handicapped it, stopping down to 2.8, the Voidy Lander. You're seeing it. You're seeing some separation. I don't know if there's leaded glass in there or the simple element structure that allows Voidy Germanhood to reign supreme over our American hearts. But it does. First, the Canon, which just... a lot of these tests, I think the Canon just doesn't get you as you move back. So some of them were out of focus, but just bad. You should be ashamed of yourself for the 6D. All right, I'm going to attempt the unthinkable by stopping down the Voidy Lander to 1.2, trying to remain in focus. Am I even in focus at 2.8? I doubt it. Let's try it. Final form achieved. You cannot beat it. It could be beat. That guy with the do-it-yourself perks, it was a Toneh 0.4, not bad. That looked pretty magical, but you're close enough with this for less money and less size. 3D pop's real. Don't deny it. Don't deny just because you bought a Tamron Zoom and you're like, oh man, oh, my images, not even my daughter likes them. She thumbed them down on my Instagram. You suck. With a Voidy Lander, you could be like 50 feet away and still get that separation where it's like, I'm popping off the screen and I matter to your family. Don't pretend that you don't. I focused on these and I'm somewhat here, so this could work. I'm gonna leave. It's a bullshit video. We learn nothing. The guy just, it's a parody article and I based my whole life on it. That's bad. That's bad news. I'm walking in the focal plane. I'm out of the camera. I'll leave. I read an article about 3D pop and he was explaining it, that like the older glass, it just had this character to it and it popped off the screen, and it's because like there were less elements in the glass, effing with the 3D pop. You get too many elements, it's a crowd, and they used like leaded glass. But at the end of the article he was like, I'm just kidding. I don't know if he was serious. I'm dumb enough to believe it, and my life's goal is to achieve it now. So we've done it. I'm side-litten by God. So this 3D pop effect that I probably won't even see myself in this video as I edit it, realizing I'm a moron, is part of the reason why I choose primes, specifically Leica and Zeiss primes, hoping to achieve that magical effect. I've seen it on Fuji. I do believe their 18mm 1.4 has some 3D pop in it. Not bad. Not bad, I don't mind you. But it's a stupid goal. I admit it. I know that. So perfectly framed in this shot, leaving headroom for my thoughts to enter your mind. don't mind that. I might actually try some wildlife with this 55mm 1.8, see if I can get close enough to something, and maybe then that 240 frames will be somewhat usable in a 1.8 prime, you know what I mean? Primes? I know that. Come upon my bald head, Tenet for the first time in 10 years. I do believe, I will leave, don't worry. I've bored you enough. Even at a 5.6 on the Zeiss, there's still some separation, and it's because of the 3D pop elements in the leaded glass. In fact, although there are laws against this, I did stop down a Micro Four Thirds camera to 2.8, and now we're in 5.6 territory. And I do believe, because of the Leica qualities, we have a somewhat respectable image if you ignore the terrible white balance and overexposed image of the amateur professional in the forest. So did you notice any 3D pop separation versus the too much Toneh? The difference? Do you see the difference between Toneh and 3D pop? I should have stopped that one down and then used the Canon zoom to demonstrate that. Why didn't I do that? I'm a moron. But whatever, man. We only had one shot. We're in the forest. There's no reshoots here. But this is why I almost bought that Canon 35mm L lens, the Mark I, because it was in that article saying that had 3D pop. So I was like, Canon EOS R adapted with that lens? I should have pounced. I saw deals for it, but I didn't. So let me know what lenses you think have 3D pop for sure. Not your imaginary 3D pop. Proven by heart chakras. That, and do you think I'm insane? And there's no such thing, because I'm telling you, photographers, they're telling me that it doesn't exist. 3D pop. This guy thinks it's obviously a thing. There's photos taken where like, wow, that's popping off the screen. So, wow, I'm in it. I'm in that image. Whereas some don't have it, and they're jealous, and that's what they do. They shoot on Tamron zoom lenses, and they yell at the world because they have nothing special to look at. Why am I hunched over? There's clearly enough room at the top. Don't let them tell you it doesn't exist, because it does. It clearly does. And you should only buy Leica or Zeiss or old vintage glass. That's a fact. Through my affiliate links, by the way. Sony Reptilian t-shirts are available. And a new vintage wash. That did happen. Thank you so much for watching today's information-packed, filled episode. Sony autofocus can be trusted, unlike your best friend.